Hey guys, this is Ed from Mission Impossible, and with me I have Wyatt, and we are doing a retrograde of Atari 2600 games from Panda and Froggo. So there were a lot of games here that were kind of mix and match here. As far as there was a lot of games that Froggo put out that were remakes of the other games.
Sure,
we're gonna call them remakes. So. Let's start it off here. So we got cruise missile. I'm gonna have you go first.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Cruise missile.
Mm-hmm. Are there any missiles?
Not that I recall.
I think you were just like a little yellow flying saucer.
Something like that. In like, 1/5 of the screen, and
right.
Then if you did well enough on that part where you could shoot straight through some of them and had to hit others of these little security towers or whatever.
Right. And you couldn't go over them. You had to shoot them.
And once you shot them all, you could go down. But if you died while you were going down into the underground section, you couldn't go down anymore, even though the holes were still there, because it would assume that the ground was back.
Yeah, I would consider that a bug.
It's definitely a flaw.
Yeah.
It's functioned. It had a pretty bad bug, though. You're right. So that was kind of... It's sort of difficult to give it anything. Yeah. I guess I'll give it a C.
Wow.
Because it's one of the more functional of the games that we played today.
Yeah.
So I can't give them all...
D's?
To be honest,
Oh, wait, spoiler alert, yeah.
They aren't this week.
It's not. We're gonna have any predictions that we're going to have any S's in here?
Not high.
I could go with C. It was... I liked what they were trying to go for. The shooting mechanic... the fact that you could shoot backwards, you could go left and right and stuff.
Right.
The idea of it is much cooler than the actual implementation of it. The idea of having to move and shoot at the same time made it really hard because you have to hit. It was really annoying.
It wasn't a game where that made a lot of sense to do it that way.
Yeah, if you was just
especially when
forward,
you had such little space to do it.
And if maybe it looked like an actual cruise missile, maybe that'd be kind of cool. I don't understand what the point was.
Why it was called that?
The idea of having the kind of multiple screens and stuff was
But it wasn't even a multiple screen. It was just accessing the rest of the screen.
Yeah. True.
And you could see all of the enemies that you were going to be facing down below the whole time.
Right.
It just was not. It was functional, but it was bad. I didn't much care for it.
Fair enough.
Karate.
The patty cake game.
I guess I'll give that one I'm going to give that one a high D.
High D! Wow, what praise.
There was at least one point where you clearly had more points and I still won the round.
Yeah, I don't understand that. It's like, did you just make 20 points in the
meaning
the time?
Points are probably not what they're basing who wins off of? Which means there's some other metric, maybe?
Or it could just be wrong. It's just bad.
Either are possible. It's kind of tough to say. I don't know why they had scores at all, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I got to go with a D. It was just bad.
It was non-functional as a fighting game because of that.
The sprites almost looked like they could be kind of cool.
It was neat that you got different belts as you won more.
Sure, but the problem is you were still really skinny, and no matter what you did, you never got any
range.
wider.
Yeah, and they would
have you right on top of each other.
And it would show you having really long legs because you're a lanky character. But then when you do a low kick, you're a half inch away. Your leg shrinks.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah.
Not great. Oh, hold on. How could you not have... I've got to add a row below.
Okay.
Because this is worst.
Worst game ever.
All time. Ultimate. Time 260.
All right, you gotta give it a green. You gotta make it green.
Oh no, I'll make it.
Fine. You've already added it, so.
Oh well.
Now the problem is,
That's
You're
fine.
just gonna mess
It's not
everything
green.
up. You're just gonna mess everything up.
Why is there new?
Yeah, I don't know. Try it.
Worst. Oh, it edited that one.
Yeah.
I see. Well, that means I can turn this
All right.
into. I'm just gonna
Bad.
And put this one back to D, and
This is why we don't do this live, folks.
yeah, well, it's worth it for this because this is, I need to also slightly change that color because you can't read bad, because Sea Hunt is awful. Sea Hunt is a terrible game. It was worth that, people at home, because Sea Hunt is far and away actually probably the worst game I've ever played.
Wow.
It's just it's a nearly impossible game to actually start to play. The music's kind of annoying. The shark looks okay. That's what I can give it.
Okay.
The controls, though, the fact that you swim around and you have to stop, and if you miss, it takes a while for the harpoon or whatever to come back to you. Because you're not sea hunting, you're sea fishing. But instead of just...
Yeah, you're sea fishing.
Which is like...
With the harpoon.
I've already jumped into the water. Why didn't I just throw a pole out? But no, I had to go down to reel in the shark.
The biggest problem with that game, truly, was the fact that you couldn't do anything
Until you were
like,
halfway down, which is such a flaw that it is... it becomes the... Because they can still kill you.
Yeah.
If they couldn't kill you, but you had to wait until getting halfway down, it would be whatever.
Right.
But it's so hard to actually start playing the game. It is... I've played a lot of games that aren't very good, especially a lot of 2600 games that aren't very good. I have never played a game.
Let's see if I can do this.
Yeah, add a row below, then exit that, and then edit that.
Yes.
Because...
We'll put it at red, and we're going to say, worst game ever. There we go.
Because I've never played a game that I truly couldn't play. I wouldn't ever play this again.
No, here's the question: Would you wish it on your worst enemy? It's like, or could it be used as torture? You must play this game for 10 hours straight.
You must successfully accomplish anything in this video game, and until you do, we'll never let you leave.
Maybe.
And they'll never leave.
That we might violate the Geneva Convention.
I think so, but it was just, it was not a time I enjoyed very much.
All right.
It was, I don't know, it didn't even look good enough. Like, there were no impressive graphical anything to it. The sound effects weren't anything to write home about, and it was barely functional. I cannot believe that someone actually produced that as a game. Maybe I know there are more broken games out there, I'm sure, but I've never played them, so.
All right. Next up, we have Seahawk.
Yeah.
I don't think it even says it on the title.
I don't think so, and it has a slightly different box because these games are hard to track down pictures of.
Yes, exactly. So this Seahawk, that was the one with the helicopters and the boats, the pink boats and the black boats.
The helicopters, that's another one that didn't really use its real estate of screen very much, because I don't remember the helicopters ever being very high up. No,
they're pretty much in the middle.
So it's like a good chunk of your screen isn't being used, and it was better than Sea Hunt, at least.
Well, I think we've established that all games must be better than Seahawk.
I'll give a low C to Seahawk, though, because it did work. And there was some cool things to it. And you could tell that the helicopters were helicopters, the boat was a boat. The missiles launched well enough.
It was a little weird that you could direct them, so you could do like
anytime you change direction, missiles
would hook it around. And so you could actually, the cool thing was it actually worked both ways. So like you could shoot and then like go the other way and kill the boat, which was kind of neat. I mean, it was unintended consequence probably, but
it was all right as a result. It's just also kind of the couple of cool things about it are like if you landed on one of your boats, you didn't lose a life.
That I really liked that element of that was innovative. Now, I don't know. I'm guessing because this was a Froggo game that this wasn't actually produced by them. It was
It's possible that we're going to play. We still have other third-party games to go through. And I believe one of the games that we were told in the stream was one they took from was Spectrovision.
Sure.
And we still have to go through that. So maybe we'll see it again and maybe it'll be better.
Maybe. A lot of these games are knockoffs. It just kind of roll the dice. This is where this came out as far as our list. So, let's see. I would have to say, I'm going to give it a B. I thought it was definitely playable. The graphics on it actually were pretty good. The shooting was a bit wonky, but the whole element of being able to land on your ship, that I got to give them props for. That was kind of cool.
So. That's fair. I can't say it was cool, but it wasn't so cool that I thought it really. It still was kind of a dull game. Is part of my problem with it. Is just there wasn't a ton going on.
Right.
The fact that it's only helicopters and they're only barely above the boats anyway. And I didn't much care for the controls. The actually attempting to shoot things was occasionally difficult.
Well, it was a shooting, and then there was also like a
drop thing. Yeah, the missile bomb, whatever. Yeah, it was okay, just not top tier for me. So I'm gonna leave it at a high C. I don't think it was terrible. Spiderdroid, which was just Amidar or Amidar, one or the other. I don't remember where I rated Amidar, but as a knockoff of it, also C, low C, mid C maybe. I don't know. I wasn't blown away by it because I've already played that game. That exact game also, it was exactly the same.
Just the sprite changes.
The sprite changes were it, but otherwise it played almost exactly the same. Yeah. But it felt slower somehow than the... I don't know if it actually was, but it felt slower than Amidar actually was. So I'm going to give it a C for being a moderate knockoff of a game I was okay on the first time anyway.
I can't disagree. I mean, I like the idea of some of those games, like the kicks type games where you're trying to kind of do a surround kind of thing, but just not fun. I mean, it wasn't horrible. I mean, it was a fair remake, if you want to call it that, ripoff maybe. But it
decided ripoff.
Yeah,
I think there's something to be said about like genres of games.
Right.
Like you can't own mechanics or anything, but it's when it's literally. If you broke that thing open
pixel by pixel
to the code, that thing is the same game.
Yeah, a lot of times they took the games, I guess they dumped them, and then just changed like the copyright on them.
Like barely anything.
Right.
That is what I would consider knockoff.
Yes, exactly.
Not a clone, but a knockoff because it's kind of scumming along at the very boundary of what's legal.
Yeah, exactly.
So, not great, but functional. So, it gets points for that.
Points for being functional. There you go.
Because our next one almost isn't either. Task Force.
Right.
In which it says Mafia at the top.
Right.
And Mafia slowly disintegrates over time.
Yeah, it does.
And then at the start screen, it just shows you all of the sprites that are in the game because it looked like it was like either a bad dump or it was, I mean, I'm guessing it feels like a bad dump.
Or, you don't say.
Yeah.
So now where does it go?
Now that's the question, because it's better than Sea Hunt.
Oh, okay.
But does it, because at the very least, like rolling around, it worked when it worked. Like you could actually shoot the guys and it would change screens. It wasn't like good, but it was functional for what that was. But does that mean I put it at the lowest end of D, or do I put it slightly above Sea Hunt in bad? Because it was not good. I can say that with certainty. I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to mostly because it could have been the emulation that we're getting.
No, I don't think it's emulation. I think it was really just.
It was actually the game?
I think so.
Now, that being the case, it's just that's not a product that should be bought, is I think where I'm putting in the bad category.
Right.
That's an unforgivable way to sell a product.
Just because I'm going to go different, I'm going to put it in the D.
That's totally fine.
Worst game ever, so then I don't want to have to change the game ever. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got it as just bad. So... I can't really say that anyone should have ever bought that, and I'm glad that people don't have to ever again.
Right.
If you ever do, don't.
There you go.
Like if you
if you ever do, don't.
If you ever have the chance, is what I'm saying.
Don't.
Okay. You see that cartridge sitting somewhere? Don't do it.
Test for it. Now, what would be interesting is to actually see how much it goes for. And while you're rating that, I'll see how much price charting says that task force goes for.
So just as you're looking that up, before I rate this next one, I will say something else about Task Force. Is that shooting gallery game that almost works could have been fine. They I don't know how you actually mess up the simplest formula on the 2600. Shooting galleries, I'm pretty sure you're obligated to own one and make one if you make a 2600 game.
Pretty much.
What do we get on the price chart?
I couldn't find it on price chart. I'm gonna go look on eBay.
Oh, secret game.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. Anyway.
But the game obviously deserves to be in bad.
In bad. So let's see. With the original box clear collector's case, someone's selling for $40.
Oh.
Let's see how much if it's any sold here. Loose, actually, complete in box. No, that's new in box. $60 is sold for.
Just the cartridge. Cartridge only $20, roughly. $19.
Not surprising. It's like the value.
Rare-ish.
The value of the game has
not
nothing to do with
necessarily
how good it is.
So
next.
All right, fine. Pick it up and then sell it if it's less than $20.
But they might want it as a collector's item.
Don't.
Yeah.
The puzzle. Oh, the dice puzzle. Right. I didn't like this one very much. It was okay though. I think we're gonna give that a middling C.
Okay.
It's kind of boring. Like I like puzzles. I think there isn't a lot to it, and it's just trying to line up all sixes all over the place. But there's not like, try to get 1, 2, 3, 4 now in, these different rows or anything. All it was that. So once you do it one time, this isn't one that I feel like I would go back to a lot because of that. Once you finish that game one time, unless you want to do it slightly faster, which is not seemingly very worth it, I would just, it's like, cool, I solved the singular puzzle. That's the thing I like about puzzle games, is even if they are all the same kind of puzzle, like a book of Sudoku or a, crossword puzzle or whatever. Yeah, it's the same every page, but there are different questions, different answers.
Sure.
At the very least, you feel like you're getting something out of it. Once you finished it one time, I don't think I'd ever go back to it. But it did actually work. It worked. I've said that several times.
I think it's funny how we've gone down to that level with these manufacturers, these publishers.
This particular
it's like it worked. And like in the past, we're like, it's not great. It doesn't really grab me. We'll put it in a C. And then here's like, it worked, so it gets a C.
It didn't,
It didn't make my computer blow up.
It would have been a C for any other company, I think, because it didn't grab me, but it did do what it was trying to do.
I think the
made a
problem
dice
is
the sound effects were all right too. I didn't mind when the dice were changing.
I think really what it comes down to is, and compared to all the other games we've done, I think this would just be D straight across, and for the most part. And but to try to kind of break up and this could be like D plus, D minus, like kind of like so that we break up the D's in here. So that take it with that.
We could have added that in.
Yeah, because I mean, truly, are these anything compared to the C's in other
some of the game companies? No,
exactly. So just
we are
so
rating
that
them. We're at least partly rating them based on the merits of the games that we have played in this section.
Exactly.
So it gets a little bit of a pass.
Yeah.
Not much.
Dice Puzzle, I wanted to like, and then while you were playing it, it was like, oh, that looks cool, and I wanted to play it, and then I'm like, well, wait a minute. So it kind of reminded me a little of like a Rubik's Cube, in that when you want to line everything up, but the problem is if you change this, it screws something else up, and that was kind of the deal. And I don't know. And granted, if we had more time, we could probably play with it, but figuring out the strategy on how to make them line up so that they are all in the same number, so that you can just dial it like you had done. But I was trying it. I'm like trying to find a strategy, and I wasn't finding one. Most likely there's an algorithm, just like there is for Rubik's Cubes, of being able to solve it. I can't go up to a B though, just because, like you said, it's really, there's not much to it. I mean, it just got...
In the same way that I probably wouldn't play a Rubik's Cube game that is just a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
Because part of the experience that makes that enjoyable is that it's a tactile thing that you're doing and putting that algorithm into something physical.
Right.
This isn't that, and it will never be as satisfying as that, even if you could find an algorithm to make it work every time.
Right.
And so that's kind of all I got to say on it. It's okay, which is about the highest compliment I can give almost any of these games. Especially because this next one is just River Raid.
A purple River Raid.
A purple River Raid, which makes River Raid worse because it hurts my eyes, because it's a way less... That shade of purple, not nearly as nice to stare at as that shade of blue. Yeah. And it just looked nonsense because of that. Also, you were filling up on air, not fuel, just cuz.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that it was in some way different.
What I thought was funny to me is like we look at the knockoffs here, and they kept like the copyright thing that rolls to the like the Activision, and it just says Panda, and it's just like, that doesn't look fishy at all.
Yeah, I'm tempted to give it. I would almost give it a B, but graphically, it's just difficult to look at.
Yeah.
River Raid, pretty good. River Raid as this game.
It's a knockoff though. I have to like.
It's not just that. It's also the fact that I couldn't tell anything that I was looking at.
Right.
There were some boats.
There's a whole bunch of black crap on the sides, and it was like, what the?
And there was, the little enemies didn't look like anything. They didn't look like boats or planes or.
I gotta go with the D with it, just because they took a game that I really like. And just crapped all over it.
Just made it less of a good game.
Yeah, and it just...
Made a less good version of it. And it's
bad.
It's like a bad port on the same system.
Yeah, it's just horrible.
We've got another one going to D for me. Space Canyon.
Yeah.
I think I'll get... No, because...
Is this the one with the epilepsy thing going on? Yeah.
So, actual warning that we'll probably put up just before this, but actual epilepsy warning for this footage here, because it's just constantly flashing, and it actually started to hurt after a while. It functioned, though. You would shoot up at things and to the side at things. I had no idea what was going on, though.
Well, it was like a little frog or grasshopper or something, and then shooting, and then when the things would shoot, it would
show the artifact of where they're going to hit, so that
I guess they could avoid it, or just that it was there and they said,
It couldn't figure out how to not have it be there.
The little loogies or whatever going left, right, that looked kind of cool, but
I guess, but I also couldn't figure consistently how to make it go left. I could only ever shoot it right.
Yeah,
it was not my cup of tea, really.
I'm gonna go in D. I just Yeah.
Just a real garbage pile of
pretty much
of code and colors and nonsense.
Yeah.
And it also, because so much of the sides were those flashing colors, you actually didn't have very much room to go around to things. You couldn't go back and forth very far.
Right.
So it was very limited in scope as well, which it didn't need to be in any way.
Right.
So it's a what'd you say? Bad dump.
Yeah. No, I mean, so there's a dump, which is like...
I'm aware.
Yeah, okay. I can't use the plan words. I got you. All right, we're good. Next.
Hold on, actually.
What are you going to do now? Bad dump?
There we go.
All right. There we
Bad
go.
dump.
All right.
That's true for one of them.
Yeah, maybe. They could have actually put that out like that.
Maybe. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Which would be even more of a bad situation.
All right, Stunt Man. What you got?
Oh, Stunt Man. You climb a pole. I didn't like the noise in Stunt Man. It is very noisy.
It had the music too when you die.
Also, it was a lullaby.
Yeah.
When you first turn on the game, it's like, go to sleep, go to sleep. It's like, why would I want...
It doesn't really say Stuntman.
It doesn't say much of anything except that maybe you should take a nap.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't hate it though. The climb... Well, no. There was a lot.
There was a couple things that were wrong with it.
It's hard to rank this one. I don't know that I want to put it in C. Just or D rather. I think I'm gonna put it in D still.
Right.
Because there were a lot of like you have very little time to do what you're doing.
Sure.
It's supposed to be very fast, but it's very easy for like one of those birds to get caught. In a spot where it's like, well, I have to wait for a full rotation, which means I lose.
Yeah.
So if you don't get it right away, they might as well have just killed you.
Yeah, like it was. They had some. I would see those are some just glaring flaws in it.
Yeah.
The idea of it was okay, like
climb up.
Yeah,
and,
it was kind of like a Donkey Kong Jr. kind of thing, but going on the ropes or whatever. But
I think the thing that also knocked it down to D for me was that second screen, where you have a pickaxe or something, you couldn't easily figure out how to use it. Yeah. And on top of that, it meant that you died a lot more because all of those creatures suddenly kill you. And getting up to the helicopter didn't seem to be the end goal anymore. Which meant, I have to destroy a certain amount of them and then go up? Where was that stated? It's very unclear. And if not, then it bugged out when you got up to the top, meaning it's worse even than we thought.
Yeah. So it's mid D for me.
Yeah.
It was just
not right.
Not there.
It was just not there.
Yeah.
And then another game that had way too much flashing, Tank Brigade.
Yeah. The amount of flicker in that game, I think, puts Pac-Man to shame.
Yeah, you'll be forgiven if in this little footage here you cannot see any other tanks besides the one we're driving.
Yes.
Because I don't actually know if they were visible in the footage because of how much they're flashing.
Yeah.
Also, just kind of a slow game. Like, there's some... Like, we talked about this. There were parts of it that had the makings of potentially being something. It just never really reached them.
Right.
And it's also the second level. You go, for one thing, just hard cut second level.
Right, no transition.
No, how do you do? And all of a sudden, you could lose the entire game, not just a life, but lose the entire game if the enemy got into your base. Which we then tested by going back to the first level and just letting them wander. They never got into it. Meaning there's no way to know that's a possibility as you go into the second level.
They don't beeline towards it. And that would actually make sense.
For the most part, they just they go up more than they go down.
Right.
And they just shoot randomly, so their like systems are whack.
If they could have done a thing like capture the flag or something, now that would be cool.
Oh yeah.
If they had something like that.
If you were supposed to get up over to the other side.
That would be a whole other game.
You just had a very tedious shoot 20 things that.
Yeah.
And you can never have all 20 of them on screen at one time. So if you shoot a bunch of them...
Oh, it was trying to get all 20
of them.
it was just... So it's just you have like, one frame or whatever. You see it as like, oh my God, it's so much flickering.
It was a game I will give a middling D because it had an idea here that is not a bad game.
Right.
But it is a bad
execution,
yeah. It didn't...
Yeah.
It didn't wow me like, some of these other Panda and Froggo games did. Like,
they wowed you?
Oh, yeah. Like,
there was some wowing involved?
Yeah, look at Spiderdroid up there in the middle.
I don't know if there's wowing involved. Wow.
To be fair, they all wowed me at how
bad they are.
Intentionally, I assume awful they are, because I don't know how you do this unintentionally.
Because there was more going on, I am actually gonna probably put it in mid-C. Just because it was definitely playable.
I'm gonna put it at the highest echelon of D.
It wasn't, there were some obvious flaws, and it was like, well, they could have made it better. They had some ideas of how they could make it better.
I just don't think...
Or how they could make a game like this. And it's like, okay, you missed the mark, but you tried. You get like kind of E for effort kind of thing, but it was just, no.
Certainly not E for everyone. Don't play that game.
Yeah.
But
it was like N for nobody, like for the
just don't,
ESRB.
Yeah, don't try it.
Don't try this at home, kids.
Don't try this at home. We're professionals.
Yeah, we are trained. We're trained professionals.
We took the hit to our thumbs by making them do this.
Yes, and our eyes and brains and etc.
But it was worth it. It was still pretty funny.
It was worth it? All right. We'll
it
go
was
with that.
worth it to not have to have this be like last or second to last, to be honest.
We definitely got these out of the way.
Because we did. We wanted to play every 2600 game, or, most of them. And like actually see what's good on the system, what's not. And this is the latter.
What's not.
This is the what's not.
Yes.
Also, we've got to just imagine it happening right here. Beefsteak tomatoes. Better than I thought it was. There we go. Slap that on the screen in the category better than I thought it was.
Okay.
Because at the end of the stream, we did play some beefsteak tomatoes.
This is true.
Which I say partly because, as a transition to say, the fact that you need a cleanser game at the end of...
Yes. You got to cleanse the palate.
To be honest, if Beefsteak Tomato had been from this company, it would have been an A for them.
Yeah.
Because I gave it a D originally, and I'm bumping it up to C.
Yeah.
So Beefsteak Tomato, shown...
I think it was Revenge of the Beefsteak Tomatoes.
Revenge of the Beefsteak Tomatoes. It's just a really long title, so I just shortened it to Beefsteak Tomatoes.
Hey, I gotta say, 20th Century Fox, we covered this a little bit, they have the best titles.
They did have really
good
titles.
The Earth Dies Screaming and the Revenge of the Beefsteak Tomato. It's just like, those are awesome titles. These guys are pretty...
These guys just... I needed... Yeah. Straight up, the fact that I rated that game a D and then we went back and I had way more fun than any of these games says a lot about these guys. But yeah, Revenge of... what would that be as an acronym? Like Rise of Skywalker, ROTS, which is also Revenge of the Sith. I forgot.
Yeah.
But anyway. Better than I thought it was. And, tune in next time where we rank all of our previous RetroGrade videos.
There you go.
That have come in so far.
Tune in. Yeah,
we
adjust your rabbit ears and
hit your set. Smack it on the side. Watch some.
I had a TV like that. Was what I meant.
Watch some retro review.
I had to bang it on the side in order to make it work. Anyway, guys, I think that's it for us today. Of course,
Thankfully.
hit like if Yeah, if you like this.
Like for our pain.
Yeah, our pain.
Not for these games.
Don't like these games. But like us. We're likable. Yeah. Anyway, of course, hit the subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed. If you're not subscribed already and you're watching this,
thanks.
What's wrong with you? No. Anyway.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. Definitely leave a comment with your rankings. And of course, if we missed the mark on one of these games and it was somehow amazing, and of course we missed something, because it has happened.
Then keep it to yourself.
No.
Because I'm never coming back to this.
You're done.
I'm done.
You're done.
No bribe. Well, that's not true.
I think the amount has to go higher.
It's a higher bribe.
All right, guys. As per usual, see you in the next adventure. Take care. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of this kind of content, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. I post new videos all the time and I wouldn't want you to miss any. If you'd like to see more of this series, be sure to click up here. And if you'd like to see something else, be sure to click up here.